What's up, everybody? I'm Wyatt Bagnall.
Taylor Wallerstein.
And we are here reviewing Week 2 of the NFL season. It was a wild Week 2, some interesting games, a lot to talk about. Last week we sort of talked about what's real, what's not real. We might do a little bit of that, but I think as we Week 1 is where things get crazy. Week 2 is where you start to really learn what stayed consistent.
Yeah.
And so we'll be talking a little bit. There's a couple teams where there's some hot takes or overreactions, but for the most part, we're going to start talking about what's real. Before we do, hit like, hit subscribe, share the video, leave a comment. We really appreciate it. It helps out the channel a ton. And without further ado, we will jump in and start off with the Thursday night game when the Vikings went to Philadelphia and lost 28-34. This was one of a couple games this weekend where the team that won got outplayed.
Yep.
If the Vikings don't fumble the ball 4 times...
Yep.
And fumbling 4 times, that is not just you play good defense. That is you are sloppy on offense. Mm-hmm. Justin Jefferson, if he doesn't fumble over the goal line, that sequence, they don't get a touchdown, Philly goes down and gets a field goal. That's a 10-point sequence.
Yep.
That alone's the difference in the game.
Yep.
Philly did a great job running the ball.
Absolutely.
And that was literally all they did well.
Yeah. No,
they couldn't pass. Everybody, Devontae Smith Devontae Smith had 2 plays.
And they were both just complete. Well,
and you're against Minnesota's corners, which for those of you that don't know, are not good.
Not great.
The Eagles' passing game is not in sync. Hasn't been for 2 weeks.
Yep.
They're getting pressure on passing plays. Mm-hmm. They're run blocking great. Awesome. Minnesota's defensive front is also not good.
Right.
I just come out of this game feeling like the Eagles have regressed somewhat. They're still good, and they may get better as it goes. But last year, everybody's like, oh, it's early in the year. Last year, they came out of the gates with their hair on fire and looked great right away.
Yep.
This is a team I think people took the offseason and studied and looked at, and they have come out, and they can always counterpunch, and it's obviously early. But through 2 weeks, they aren't what they were last year, and they aren't what people thought they'd be this year.
Yep.
Now they're 2-0, which I thought they'd be 2-0, but neither of the 2 wins have been impressive. And both of the 2 wins, it felt like they got outplayed by the Patriots and the Vikings.
Yeah, it really came down to 2 situations where the Eagles very easily could be 0-2. We talked about it last week with,
Pick 6.
Yeah,
the
pick 6 changed the game for the Patriots. Honest to God, it very well could have been 25-20 in the opposite direction with the Patriots pulling away from that game. And now we have a situation where if the Vikings don't consistently shoot themselves in the foot, and they love to do that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Minnesota fans, but it's true. Then the Eagles really don't get to play keep away a ball with the run game for this entire Thursday night game. And credit where credit's due, the Vikings offense is still very good. It's making some mistakes. It's definitely being sloppy.
They fumbled 6 or 7 times through 2 games.
If they're not doing that, then we have a different conversation about this.
Kirk Cousins, everybody loves to talk shit about Kirk Cousins.
He's playing great.
Kirk Cousins balled out in Philadelphia. That's the thing that I take away from this more than anything else. Through 2 weeks, Philadelphia's defense is not scaring people.
No.
They flash a couple times a game on that D-line, which they're going to.
Yep.
But overall, they've been thrown on. They've been run on. Philadelphia's defense hasn't stopped a lot of people. New England's offense isn't high-powered, and they almost came back and beat you.
Yep.
Minnesota's offense is better.
Yep.
But
again, if they're not shooting themselves in the foot, this is maybe a very different...
And like I said, I don't want to make it sound like the world's falling in Philadelphia. They're still good.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, what are the things that almost, shocked you? Because that's the thing that's more interesting to talk about. What were the things you didn't expect?
They're way more vulnerable than they seem.
Than
they seemed like last year.
Yeah. I expected Philly to come out more dominant. I thought this game was going to be close.
Mm-hmm. But not like
and we talked about it. But it just, and like I said, in terms of the result, the final score feels kind of right. It was a close game. It was a competitive game. But when you actually watch the game, it's what the hell was that? Yep, what it was, it came down to this. Minnesota needs to get in some goddamn fumbling drills in practice.
Absolutely.
Everybody's doing it.
Yeah. And when Justin Jefferson's doing it, Alexander Madison's doing it.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins had one?
He lost one, but I almost think of less when quarterbacks do it in the pocket. It's you don't want to, but usually you're getting hit from where you don't see it and whatever.
It happens. And
the kick return, they fumbled the ball. 3 of their fumbles were on the Eagles side of the field.
Yeah.
3 of those fumbles were points.
Yep.
they outplayed Philadelphia. They just hate themselves and shot themselves in the foot.
Something like that.
Yeah, but credit to Philly, you won, and I give a lot of credit for the run game. But I also say, if you're a team, when they are literally just running the ball on you and you can't stop it, the run game is math. It's effort. It's numbers. If you can't stop the run game, it means you're really bad up front.
Yeah.
Like, it means nobody wins.
Yeah, and the two biggest issues I have with the Vikings are their offensive line and their defensive line.
Yeah.
Their offensive line, credit, they just signed Dalton Reisner, which I think is going to be a good addition. I don't think it's like a world-beating, crazy, line's fixed.
Yeah.
But it is, another great player you can put on the inside. They were missing Christian Darrisaw, so that also isn't super helpful.
The one where Josh Sweat forced the fumble on Kirk Cousins, it was on the backup left tackle. And then they lost the backup to the third string.
Which is crazy.
That was interesting. Philadelphia didn't generate as much rush as I thought against a depleted Minnesota O-line.
No, it should have been much worse. And credit where credit's due, there were lots of times where the Vikings were able to give Kirk Cousins a little bit of time to make something happen.
I mean, and they get paid too, but you just think like Philly was way more talented.
Yeah, Philly's D-line, especially with all this talk that we've had all offseason about how they bring in everybody and they got basically one of the best players in the draft. Yeah, with Carter.
I still can't believe.
Crazy how it works, but it does. And then it should have been a nightmare for Minnesota, and they still very easily could have walked away with this game if it weren't for a couple of mistakes that the defensive line of the Eagles were not causing. So definitely interesting. Good on them for bringing in Dalton Reisner and shoring up that O-line. The D-line, you're going to be able to run against Minnesota all season, it feels like, unless they really drastically make a change.
Feels like it.
So those are the two big parts of what makes an NFL football team successful in the NFL. And you've got massive issues there. I think the Vikings will be able to. I think
they're going into a crucial game week 3.
Yeah.
Because it's them and the Chargers in week 3.
Yep. Which 0-2 team wants it more?
I already know who I'm picking. I'm picking the Vikings.
I'm picking the Vikings myself.
God damn it.
Which sucks because
I was hoping that'd be one where you and I rode differently, but I also really want to see. My thing is, I just also deep down, I want Brandon Staley gone.
Well, and now I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, I can't overlook the Chargers anymore by saying Justin Herbert. And it's not Justin Herbert's fault. Justin Herbert.
No, they put up so many. They're the only team in history or something like that where they put up like 50 points or something like that in the first 2 games and are 0-2.
Yeah.
That means your offense is fine.
Your offense is perfect.
But we're not talking about the Chargers yet.
No, but
overall,
we'll get there.
Final thoughts on this game. Philly's 0-2, great. Minnesota's 0-2, not great.
Philly's 2-0.
Yeah, sorry. Philly's 2-0.
There you go.
Great. But they don't feel. There's a couple 2-0 teams that we'll get to, and obviously it's early in the year. Anybody can luck into 2-0 by just who you played.
Sure.
But Philly doesn't feel quite the same as they did last year at 2-0. And we got this with a couple teams where their record is the same as it was last year, but boy does it feel different.
Yep.
Or it's the same as you would have projected going into the year, but it's
it's not.
It's just not what I thought it was going to be feeling at this point. And that's where I am with Philly. Yep. They're definitely good, but they feel like they're missing a gear that they had last year and to start last year. So this isn't just I'm judging them based on the end of last year. Mm-hmm. They started last year like a bat out of hell. They came out strong and swinging.
Yep.
This year, I think it's tougher when people know that you're going to do something. Absolutely. And they know to look at you. And they know to study you.
And if I can make a comparison, look at the Cowboys. Completely different feeling at 0-2-0.
I feel different. I also feel I have thoughts on that.
We'll get there when we get there. But, yeah.
But correct. Dallas
it doesn't feel like Philly's...
Dallas felt through 2 games has been a dominating 2-0.
Yep.
There's a couple teams that have been you never really questioned it through the games.
Yep.
Philly has not.
Yeah.
And it could be that New England's a tougher test and Minnesota's a tougher test. Could be. But not everybody's had walkover teams to 2-0.
Right.
But Philly's they've just done things that were unexpected.
Yep.
But that's all right. Up next, Atlanta goes to Green Bay and wins 25-24.
Love the comeback.
Yeah.
Weird for Atlanta.
This was one where, when we did our pick videos, this was one that was hotly debated, and we ended up splitting where we ended up on this.
Mm-hmm. I had a rough week too, guys.
Did you really?
I had a very rough week too.
I thought we did about the same.
I think all the ones that I picked differently from yours, I was wrong on.
No, you were definitely right on one. No, you were right on 2 of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out tomorrow.
No, I already counted.
I guess we'll find out now.
No, you were right on 2. One of them you got lucky, and the other one, the Denver one, we just knew it was gonna be weird.
Yeah.
And then the other one, if Nick Chubb just didn't get his knee eviscerated, I think Cleveland would have won.
Yeah. That is
So
different game.
yeah, so whatever. But I think we actually ended up with the same record because
I thought
we both were in the 4 games we were different. We went 2-2, and then the rest were the same.
Oh, that's
so.
That
I think we did the same.
Yeah,
we went the same way. But either way, this is what we went different on. This was a game that sort of went how we thought it could have, where they're both talented enough. They all flashed. Bijan flashed. Kyle Pitts has moments. They all Ritter is still scaring the hell out of me.
Yeah.
But the rest of them did enough to overcome Green Bay, which, makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel these 2 teams were on a pretty similar level. Mm. High level takeaway, Green Bay shouldn't be worried.
No.
This isn't some huge issue. Atlanta, another good sign. They're 2-0. It feels like... everybody's like, oh, maybe the NFC South's not that bad. 3 of the teams are 2-0. Stop.
Yeah.
They've played each other mostly.
Yeah, it was most of them bounced around. The only 0-2 team they've played...
Carolina.
Is Carolina, and they've played both the Saints and the Falcons.
Yeah.
Which
it's
is
so you each got to win it. So, whatever. But overall... Atlanta and Green Bay, this felt more right for both of them, where neither one of them is this dominating team. Green Bay is not going to do what they did to the Bears and stuff like that.
Right. They still put up solid
they still
offensive performance.
25 points, but the Falcons stayed competitive and strong, and they ended up I felt all the way along. Atlanta's more talented than them. Ritter's just a
huge question mark. I'm not going to knock the guy. He's playing smart and safe football. But
well, not even. He throws some dumb passes. Green Bay just didn't catch them yesterday.
That is true, yeah.
I think Quay Walker had another shot at a pick. He just dropped it.
Yeah, that is true. When you ask him to throw,
and then Jair Alexander dropped a pick 6.
Oh, yeah.
So he didn't really do that. They caught some breaks to beat them.
That is true.
It's just, if you're going to be Desmond Ridder and you're going to do what they're doing, which is we're going to be careful, you can't do that. This is what Jimmy G would do, where he would be like, oh, he's just going to manage the game, but he throws 3 of them up a day to the defense. You just have to catch them.
Yeah.
And yesterday Green Bay just didn't catch them.
They just chose not to. Yeah. The rushing attack, they're very clearly dedicated towards it, and it works.
Bijan Algier, I'd be dedicated too.
Yeah, honestly, both these guys are getting 15 attempts a game. It's going to work in some situations.
Yeah.
But if you're going to start asking Desmond Ridder to throw the ball, and it's not safe football that he can't make a mistake on because it's checkdowns I'm not throwing to London. I'm not throwing.
We've seen so much of that these first 2 weeks too.
It shouldn't.
Defenses have figured out how to take away your deep shots.
Yeah,
they're all playing 2 deep safeties, and they're you're gonna fucking throw it underneath, and when you get impatient, we're gonna pick it.
Yeah. So if Ridder can really break out of that, which scares me if he can. Maybe this is a little bit more of a formidable offense, but as of right now, I'm kind of very tentative.
I'm tentative on them. I need to see them play. I got to figure out when they do this. I want to get a better gauge of them when they play New Orleans.
Yeah.
Because I don't think New Orleans is playing awesome either.
Yeah.
The Falcons' offense, anyways. I'll get a better gauge of that when they play the Saints' defense.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or who the hell did they play this week? Falcons play. Okay, we're going to get a better read on them this week. They play Detroit this week. So we'll see how that goes.
Perfect. Yep.
But overall, not a ton to say about this game. It was a competitive game. It was well fought.
Good to see Jordan Love spreading the ball around.
They
need Christian Watson back.
Yeah, we'll see how much. Green Bay is still a team I'm figuring out. I think they're all right. I don't think that they're not a juggernaut.
No, they're not a juggernaut by any means. But
they're not going to be bad
think
this year.
Pretty solid.
I think they're going to land somewhere around anywhere between 7 and 9 wins.
Yeah, I could even see 10 and 7.
I don't think they're going to hit double digits. I think they're going to get a few too many games where it just doesn't break their way.
I think
Maybe they do. I'll have to look at their schedule again. They feel like a team that's going to be like win one, lose one, win one, lose one.
I think it's possible for sure. I mean, that just sounds like Green Bay in general, especially lately. But I don't know. I'm a little bit. Jordan Love hasn't really done anything to make me be like, this guy's a bust. What a waste.
No,
like,
me neither.
Nothing like that. He's played consistent, solid football. He's just. It looks like he's figuring it out a little bit. With his first couple of starts. So for the most part, I don't have a problem with Jordan Love. Nor do I. He passes my eye test for now. We'll see how that goes going later into the season and everything, and how the Packers are able to handle the challenges that are coming.
Yep.
But for the most part, for how bad it could be for Green Bay, it's nowhere near that.
No.
So I'm actually interested in seeing what the Packers are capable of doing when Christian Watson comes back. The offense will be, everybody kind of jumps down one on the wide receiver chart.
We still don't really know what those receivers are, what they should be. For all we know, he's like a deep threat that's not a one.
They're at least functional.
Yeah, they're functional already.
Which I'll say is a good sign. We'll see if Christian Watson year 2, year 3?
2.
Year 2, if Christian Watson is capable of being a one. I'm not convinced just yet, but I do like the guy. For the most part, the Packers have done kind of what I expected them to do. Not expecting them to light it up. Expected them to clearly beat the Bears, which they did.
Yeah.
They were competitive in this game till the end, and it just did not go their way. And again, if their defense had, better hands, maybe this is a completely different conversation we're having.
Yeah, it could have been.
But I don't think it's panic mode for the Packers. I don't know if it's riding high on the hype train for the Falcons.
It's week 2. We're not panicking about the Packers.
Yeah, but it'll be interesting to see where both of these teams go for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
I'm keeping an eye on them.
Yeah, definitely. Like, this isn't a game where anybody freaks out.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't some game where you feel awful about your team coming out of it with a loss. You lost a competitive game against a team that pretty much everybody thinks, like, these two teams are probably kind of similar.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you played a close game in a game that was supposed to be close. You caught the losing end of it and you had your opportunities.
Yep.
You don't feel bad about this. And if you're Atlanta, you don't feel bad about this.
Yeah.
Like, this was a fine game. It went, like, good for Atlanta.
Yep.
In Green Bay, you're in the NFC North. You're not, like...
It's not the end of the world.
No. All right, moving on. Okay. The Las Vegas Raiders go to Buffalo and get beat 38-10.
I don't have much.
Called it.
I don't have much for this one other than
No.
Josh Allen bounce back game.
I mean, yeah. I think I literally said my words in the prediction episode is the Raiders are a great defense to get right against.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they were.
And they were. The Bills' offense looked a lot more competent. Josh Allen loves throwing his body around no matter what.
Don't love that.
It scares me as a guy who has a potentially hurt quarterback.
Come on, Josh.
So yeah, I swear to God.
The last thing we need is Burrow and Allen getting hurt, and then we look at the last man standing in the AFC as...
Guess who?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the last thing I need is, and Josh Allen loves to try and hurdle. I don't know why.
I know. Stop.
I love the guy to death. I love his attitude, but dear God, please don't get
Oh my
knock
God.
on wood on injuries all across the league.
He fucking risks it.
He like my favorite meme is just Josh Allen 10 yards away.
He does. No, but honestly, this is a game that, again, there's not a ton to say here because this went pretty much exactly how you
Right.
thought. The Raiders are not a good defense, and they're really probably not even a good team.
Right.
The Bills are a good team that I also don't take much away from this game with.
They did with that.
If you would have struggled against the Raiders defense, I would have come away concerned.
Mm-hmm.
You were supposed to do this.
And you did.
And I will learn more about you as we go because I'm side-eyeing the Bills pretty freaking hard right now. They go to Washington next week. Still not great, but a better defense.
Mm.
I still think that they should win that, but
They should.
I'm not going to give you too many flowers for beating up on the Raiders defense.
Yeah,
good for beating them and good for beating them soundly.
Yeah.
But this isn't something where, the sky's not falling anymore in Buffalo.
Yep.
That thing is still a pressurized situation. Like,
Don't let it match.
yeah. And listen, you should beat the Raiders. If you couldn't beat the Raiders, you're in deep
Then
shit.
we have a very different conversation.
You're in deep shit if you couldn't have beat the Raiders.
Yep.
But
If only the Bengals could play them.
yeah, exactly. We'll get there. But overall, good for the Bills. They bounced back. They look good. if anything, I was more impressed with the Bills' defense because the Raiders' offense is on its worst day talented.
Yeah.
With Adams, Jacobs, Myers, Renfro. Like, they got weapons, and they managed to contain that. So that's good because they didn't do much.
Right.
Like, in general. But, yeah, the Bills' offense, you damn well better have corrected yourself against the Raiders' defense.
Yep. Use this as a momentum carrying moment into the Commanders. Get back to over 500 and start competing with Miami because Miami is looking really good.
Miami's coming up. That's the game I penciled in as I will judge the Bills in that Miami game.
Yep.
Because Miami, as of right now, certainly looks the part.
Yep.
So.
Credit where credit's due.
Yep. All right, onwards. Look away, buddy.
Yeah. No.
The Ravens went to Cincinnati and beat the Bengals 27-24. Did you lose both those games at home, or was that first one was in Cleveland?
The first one was.
Okay, good.
Yep.
All right,
This was our home opener.
So okay, here's the problem. First of all, you're not just 0-2 in the AFC, you're 0-2 in the AFC North.
Yep.
Joey Burrow restrains his calf at the end of this game.
Yep.
And you are waiting for a Rams team to come in that
looks a lot better.
Feisty at least.
A lot better than what we thought they were going to look.
You better, if he plays that game, you better tell those O linemen, I don't care if you hold him every play, Aaron Donald does not get close.
Yeah. I would take a penalty flag over an injury any day of the week.
Do not let him. But, okay, so I know what everybody's already been saying because it's going around already. They were 0-2 last year. This is a different type of 0-2. They have a first-place schedule where they play their division and I think the NFC West, because I know you have us.
Mm-hmm.
They can be as good as you want. There's only so many times you can start off like this before it bites you in the ass.
Yep.
And it sure feels like you're about to get bit. Like, and not to mention, here's the other thing. Last year, week 1 against Pittsburgh, it was competitive, it was close. Pittsburgh just made some great plays.
And we made too many mistakes.
Yeah, but it wasn't something where you were like, crap.
Sky's falling.
Both of these games have kind of been like, because the Ravens came in, no Ronnie Stanley, no Linderbaum, no Marlon Humphrey, no Marcus Williams. Like, the Ravens came in hurt and then came into your house and beat you. And there's a thing of everybody's like, oh, you can't play your guys in the preseason, they get hurt. These games count at the start of the year, towards the end. If it comes down to a tiebreaker between the Ravens and the Bengals, this game could be what is the difference, just because you started slow.
Yep.
If your team starts slow, you have to play them in the preseason. You can't drop games like this when you start off with 2 games in your conference, 2 games in your division. You can't drop those and expect to keep coming back and winning. But I'm not going to say the sky's falling. I'm not going to say you're going to miss the playoffs or anything like that. But, boy, does this not feel awesome for you.
It does not feel great at all. So I want to start it off with giving a quick shout-out to the Ravens. Their offensive coordinator situation has vastly improved.
Yeah.
Basically what it came down to last year was if you force Lamar to throw, you're potentially going to be in a better position to win this game. Well, we started by forcing Lamar to throw. Lamar diced up the secondary. Then you start pushing pressure on Lamar, and he makes plays on the ground. It's really hard to stop that. Any team in the league will struggle when you have a Lamar Jackson type player who can run the ball as effectively as he does, because he's a hell of an athlete.
Yeah.
And if he's dicing up your secondary,
You've got to take one away.
you have to take one away at that point, and we couldn't do either. So our spy couldn't keep up with Lamar, which is completely understandable.
Who the hell did you spy him with?
I think Jermaine Pratt.
I heard the last play or something, like one of the last plays, like, yeah, they spied him with Logan Wilson.
Yep.
Bring in an extra safety and just spy him with that.
Yep.
You can't ask a linebacker to do it.
If anything, I'm putting Nick Scott up in the safety
Yeah,
position.
screw it.
And I'm having Dax Hill spy because Dax has the speed. Or I'm putting Jordan Battle on. I'm putting a young guy, fresh legs with speed.
You need a DB.
To stick on Lamar because Lamar is that talented. So you're not gonna hear any bullshit from me. You're not gonna hear any BS. You're not gonna hear any biasness. We got smoked by Lamar. We got smoked by the Ravens. I got to give credit. Their offense played very well, and it does concern me going, forward into the league. If this is what Lamar is going to look like every single week,
problem.
That is a problem. So you're not gonna hear any BS or biasness from me of blah, 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 and like shit talking the Ravens. They played some great football. Now to talk a little bit about Cincinnati, I'm worried as a Cincinnati Bengals fan. I am in a very limbo state right now. It's not sky's falling. We're gonna miss playoffs. It's not a panic mode. I don't want to act like I have been here before. And we've got Joey B, who is still our quarterback. So at a certain point, you're always going to have a little bit of faith that this team is going to be able to figure it out.
Yeah, the floor is only so low.
Exactly. So personally, I'm a little bit more worried about the injury just because if he restrained it, if we were going to go 0-2 anyways, why do we play him? So that's something that kind of bothers me. I'm very much paying attention to the situation going into the Rams game on Monday Night Football. If he's not good to go...
Who's your backup?
It is Jake Browning and Will Grier, and I'd rather Will Grier start, to be completely honest with you.
I mean...
But that's neither here nor there. That's picking a handgun or a knife. To be stabbed or shot by, but...
I got you.
Let me put... That's my biggest concern, is if Joey B is hurt again... How long is he going to be out? If he's going to be out for an extended period of time, and we've already started 0-2, that is a very tough situation for any team to come back on. There's only one team that's gone 0-2 and made the playoffs, the 2022 Bengals. So, I'm going to transition from the Joey B situation, and I don't know much about injuries. I don't know. I can't know much.
I think he's going to play.
I think he's going to play,
I just think you've got to be so goddamn careful.
It scares the shit out of me if he does.
As soon as, say the Rams pull away from you, as soon as that happens, get him out.
He's out.
It doesn't matter. Fuck it.
Yep, I'm right there with you. So personally, I'm going to move past that conversation because as a fan, you never really fucking know until you know. And
you can't control it.
Yep, and I'm hoping that that's just best situation possible and that we're just being safe. I hear he's not walking in a boot. I hear he's not limping. I think we're just being safe with him. I hope he's good to go. I don't want injury on any player in the league. That being said, now I'm going to move on to where I do think the main issue is, and that's Zach Taylor's play calling. This is too talented of an offense to have such a slow start 2 weeks in a row. Yes, we put up 24 points.
2 years in a row.
2 years in a row, thank you. Yes, this is a 24-point game for us, and it was a lot closer, than it was last week. The box score doesn't really tell the full story on this one. If your only touchdown in the first 6 quarters of your NFL season is a rookie wide receiver running a punt back, which, granted, electrifying play. Love that highlight. Good for Charlie Jones, Chuck Sizzle, baby. That's fantastic. Great for him. Good to know that we're not wasting our draft picks on potential Tyler Boyd replacements coming up in the future. That's unacceptable when you're paying $275 million for your quarterback. You have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd.
And everyone's saying you got to pay both of them, too.
And we're in a position where we're releasing La'el Collins to potentially have contract conversations go a little bit more smoothly with T. Higgins, which may or may not result in a good yield. There is too much talent on this offense to start 6 quarters without an offensive touchdown. 2, maybe. But 6?
Still.
Full game and then some?
This is where it comes back to the question of, there's a reason why people thought Zach Taylor was going to be fired.
Oh, yeah.
There's still the question of, did Joe Burrow save his ass, or is he really good?
And here's where I will flat out just put it right now. He's my number 3 candidate on the hot seat list.
Is he? Okay.
And it's not I want him fired. It's not he needs to be fired. It's strictly, you are running out of time, and this situation, there's 2 ways that I've kind of felt about this whole start.
It's my McDermott take.
It's very much the McDermott take. There's too much talent on this offense. The play calling has looked absolutely abysmal. I can't believe we're running as many short passes on 2nd and 9, 3rd and 9, behind the line of scrimmage, where it's just easy to stop that when you know it's coming.
Your O-line has to be worse.
That's
got to be what it is. They don't trust them to hold up, because otherwise, why not?
And if that's the case, then what the fuck are we doing? Why are you not trying to bring in more talent? Why are we rolling with who we're rolling with? I mean, granted, Myles Garrett blowing up an O-line will
You're
happen
fine.
to anybody.
Yep.
Like, that's on your best day, he's getting 2 sacks. So I will let that go. But when you've got the Ravens, and granted, the Ravens are not a bad front seven. I'm not knocking them
They
at
don't
all.
have Myles Garrett.
They don't have a Myles Garrett type guy. And we're still having these issues. That is a massive red flag to me as somebody who has watched football his whole life. And as somebody who is a very offensively focused mindset when it comes to football, I can tell when an offensive line is completely outmatched. We've been outmatched for 2 weeks. Is it because this team is still gelling and getting together and Joe Burrow is now back in the fold? Potentially. But also this is a situation of what the fuck is going on? Why are we, with wide receivers like T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, we're having our quarterback focus on throwing the ball to our running back or our tight ends and getting blown up behind the line of scrimmage? That's not effective football. That doesn't work for fucking anybody, let alone the reigning AFC champion or the AFC Championship game contenders.
A team that's been in the Final Four the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I heard somebody talk about this, which is apparently they're like, I know Zach Taylor doesn't like the early games because he's like, he likes to see what you do through like a couple games of film and then can better plan for you. Hey, dude, those early games still matter.
You still have to win those games.
Yeah, it's like, it doesn't matter if you don't like them. Like, people say the same thing about Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers. Even in our worst starts, we're 2-1.
Yep.
Like, you can't be like, just because you're like, oh, we don't have enough information, find it.
Find it somewhere.
These teams have coaches that have been in this league. You know what they like to run.
Stefanski's been coaching the Browns for a while. You know what? I will give you credit.
Since
I'll give you,
2019, he's been in Cleveland.
yeah, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. We don't know what the Ravens' offense looks like because it's a new version of this. And Zay Flowers, again, credit where credit's due, looks like a legit wide receiver in this NFL. Maybe not. I don't know if he's. I wouldn't call him a one just yet.
But he's good.
But he's looking great. And Lamar and his connection also great.
Yeah.
So here's.
Well, it's going
Here's
back
the-
to the theory. You and I were on opposite sides of the Lamar thing. My theory was if you just decided you wanted to throw it in Baltimore, you could, but they want to run.
Mm-hmm.
You fell on the opposite side. And I'm not going to say I'm right, but through that game, it certainly looked like if you decide you want to try to be a passing team, you can do it.
And you know what? I'll eat some Ravens.
And I'm not even saying I'm right. I'm saying that game made it look right.
I to keep my credibility in check and to actually be somebody you can look at and say he has a fair football mindset.
Yeah.
I'm gonna eat some Raven, not Crow at this time.
Yeah.
Lamar looked great throwing the football. Lamar, there were lots of dots.
It pains him to
pinpoint
say it.
accuracies, and this sucks to say. But I'm going to be honest, because if I'm not honest, then we're underestimating a very good opponent.
Yes.
And this is a team that if they can throw the way that they threw against the Bengals for the rest of the season, I'm terrified.
They could be in the Super Bowl if they do that, by the way.
Absolutely. It's Jalen Hurts did it last year.
Yeah.
So it's very possible that this is a team that you need to be worried about if your team's playing them, because if Lamar is as on point as he was against the Bengals defense, which granted our defense has not shown up for 2 weeks, but
Yeah, that's concerning.
that being said, there were some competitive 50-50 balls that he placed perfectly for his wide receiver to make a play on, and he made Nelson Aguilar look like a true number one, true first round pick.
Your defense not looking great is concerning to me. Not because, again, it's the early season thing. Defense usually comes along faster.
Yep.
The play calls are shorter because defense, it's reactive. You want to be less complex.
Yep.
It's about your eyes. It's about effort. And it's about communication. It's not this intricate mental game most of the time on defense.
Yep.
It's very much just 11 dudes have to stay in sync. That comes faster than your spacing has to be right, your sight adjustments have to be right, everything like that.
Especially when a lot of the guys who are on this defense
Were there
last year.
Yeah, that's the thing that concerns me more.
Including our defensive coordinator.
Yeah, that concerns me more because defense should come along quicker.
Mm-hmm. So, an accumulation of all my points that I just made so that we can move on, because this is not Bengals Power Hour.
No, it's not. I've been waiting to hear him talk about this for days, though.
I've been marinating it. I haven't even been shit talking, or I've been very unrealistic or very uncharacteristic.
I think they already have the same amount of losses you predicted they'd have all year.
Yes, that's a great start. So, to wrap up my point, the Bengals, this is a completely different 0-2. Am I hitting the panic button? Am I freaking out? No. I'm going to act like I've been here before.
It's hovering, though.
We've seen some worse Bengals teams than this one is. But it is compared to 0-2 last year, where I was still talking my talk and sitting at this exact chair and having a lot more confidence in my football team to bounce around the week after, that we're going to be fine, that we can handle this. We are in a very different situation. And again, I'm not panicking, I'm not crying, I'm not screaming out to the sun, why God, why?
0-3 he will be.
It'll be a different conversation then. We'll see how I react. But you know what? If this is your wake-up call that this team is going to be the same old team, this is not what championship level teams do. We don't start out like this if you want to go win the Super Bowl.
Yep.
If you want to be in contention for winning the Super Bowl every year, it starts with week 1. It starts with week 2. So,
exactly. I think I keep coming back to this with the Bengals. The way, and I don't have anything to technically substantiate this other than the way they talk. Mm-hmm. Those dudes overestimate their ability to just walk out there and beat somebody.
And
talk like this is like Jamar Chase talking about earlier. It's like as long as he comes back by like week 5 or 6, we're fine.
Yeah.
If he didn't play till week 5 or 6, you're going to be 1-4, and your season's, or at least winning your division's over.
Yeah.
You guys aren't that damn talented.
Yeah.
Like
Jake Browning is not joking.
Somebody needs to.
Will Greer is not joking.
One of these dudes. It's like you'd think you would have lost enough heartbreakers enough time to realize you don't just get to beat people.
It's take it from a guy with an ego. Oh my God, it takes a lot to break that ego. I'm hoping.
You'd think a Super Bowl loss might do it, though.
You would think. You would think that an AFC Championship loss to the
dude that you guys were trying to dunk on in the week before would do it.
You would think that this would be what you need. You know what? Here's another fucking wake up call. Are you gonna fucking hit snooze?
The alarm keeps going off.
Or you're gonna fucking get the fuck out of bed and get your ass to work. So.
Got beat by elves, got beat by ratbirds. Now what?
I'm not panicking. I'm just a little, and you know what? Again, I'll finish. I'm gonna finish after this, but Zach Taylor coming out and saying, "Be patient with us." No. We have been. We've been patient for 2 years. You've had a loaded roster. Now you're paying our quarterback, which is what you're supposed to do.
But it means that roster is.
But that roster is now in. This is not rookie quarterback. Let's get away with a couple. Good years where we can pay everybody else and try to win. It is now the expectation is set. And this is going to be harder than it was before. So if you're telling me to be patient for one more year, I'm sorry.
Dude,
I'm not.
These windows aren't open that long.
No.
And here's the other thing. Now that he's paid, and I agree, paying him is the right decision, you're going to lose pieces in other spots. Your offense, if that's where your money's being put, they have to elevate and cover those gaps. You cannot score 3 points in a season opener if you're going to pay everybody. You're going to pay him, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and they're all going to combine for 3 points week 1, and then get hurt in week 2, and you're 0-2 in your division.
I'm fine with you committing to paying the offense.
Yes,
we need to be losing games 34-37 Charger style. Like it is. It is
we
that.
Be losing Charger style.
It is that simple.
Can that be a T-shirt? Charger style.
We should make a T-shirt like that.
Charger style.
Yeah. Oh God, sorry, Herbo. I love
You're good. All right, we'll wrap this one up. All we're saying is
on to next week.
Cincinnati Cincinnati is among the more disappointing teams out of the gate, and we expected them to start slow. So the bar was already low, and they've even limbo danced under that.
I mean, our expectations were low, but holy fuck,
you thought it would look better.
Yeah, like I thought we would.
This is like the Philly thing. Like I wouldn't have been shocked. I think I did predict you to go 0-2 to start, but it feels different than the 0-2 I predicted.
It feels much different that we weren't competitive with the Browns at all, who looked like shit on Monday Night Football.
Oh, yeah, and we're gonna get there.
We'll get there. And to be so late to the party with the Ravens and granted, the Joe Burrow pick is, I hate that throw, I hate that clip. It was uncharacteristic of Joe Burrow.
All right, we gotta move on. Sorry.
Go Bengals. Who dey?
There you go. Stay strong. Up next, Seattle and Detroit. Seattle wins 37-31 in overtime. In another game where the team that lost played better, but Detroit ended up fumbling and throwing a pick six.
That'll do it.
And but it's another game where Seattle's defense did not play well.
Nope.
The Detroit offense played well. They just shot themselves in the foot.
Yep.
The Detroit defense is still better, but not good enough to be a true contender.
Mm-hmm.
Good for Seattle. They're resilient. They showed their mettle. Nobody's ever accused Seattle of laying down and dying.
True.
But this was another game where really, if Detroit just doesn't, like, Detroit was up by 10, like, second half of the game, and then they just gave it away.
I don't. First of all, the David Montgomery injury
sucks.
It sucks. He was having a great season so far. Can't really hate on the guy. He's from what I hear, a good man, great player. Well, not great player, per se, but you know what I'm saying. He is capable of doing what he does in the NFL. Good player, heck of a runner, physical guy. I like that, and I can respect that.
He's the thunder to Thunder and Lightning.
Absolutely. I think he's a great combination paired with Jahmyr Gibbs. Why are you not using Jahmyr Gibbs more if you're going to put as high of... First of all, it was something that we talked about when we reviewed the draft. If you really wanted a running back that bad, why'd you trade back instead of taking Bijan? And why are you moving on from DeAndre Swift out of nowhere?
I still can't believe the thing. I still can't believe Detroit did, because, again, this would help their defense a lot. I still can't believe... I thought they were going to take Jalen Carter.
It would make sense.
I thought they were going to have him and Aiden Hutchinson, and it was just going to hunt.
Pairing him with Aiden Hutchinson, I mean, you start putting pressure on your on opposing quarterbacks with those two guys, you're going to be in a lot better positions to win than drafting Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
So, and granted, don't get me wrong, this is not a knock on Jahmyr Gibbs at all.
He could still be good.
He's so talented.
They just used him weird.
Yeah, the fact that if you're going to bring... It's the same thing with the DeAndre Swift thing. Like, you bring in a guy like DeAndre Swift, he's proven to be good for you. Yes, injury prone.
Yeah,
sure, whatever. I get that. But if you're going to have a healthy running back who is as talented as he is, and now that David Montgomery's gone, I need to see more out of him. And it's not his fault. It's the play calling. And so something that's really bugging me about this Lions team is that you bring in these pieces that everybody loves and that is very exciting at the time, and then you don't use them the way that they're supposed to be used. Why are you bringing them in? Because the Lions having a incredible stout defense, if that's the direction they went with, instead of bringing in Jahmyr Gibbs,
I think they'd be better off.
I think they'd be better off. And their offense was proven last year to be solid.
And it's still good.
And it's still good.
I mean, like, they don't really have issues scoring on people for the most part.
They have an issue stopping people.
Yeah, and I mean, Seattle's talented. Everybody knows Seattle's talented.
I'm not taking that away from them.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think this is also partially... I think Detroit was also bound to have some of these stumbles with... They're a team that doesn't quite know how to handle success and expectation.
That's fine.
And I think that they could have easily bought into themselves beating Kansas City.
Totally.
I mean, I think that's possible too. But I mean, I'll give credit to Seattle. They hang in, and if you don't beat them, they're not going to beat themselves.
Exactly.
And Detroit just coughed up the ball one too many times. And then in overtime, they couldn't stop them, and they scored right away.
Yep.
Other than that, there's not a lot to say. They both, scored. Neither of those defenses look particularly great, but like I said, I think that these two teams are like the same level team, kind of like Atlanta Green Bay. This was a game that was probably supposed to be close, and Detroit just made the mistakes, and Seattle capitalized.
Yep.
And
that's what Seattle do.
That's really all this does. If you don't play good defense, Seattle can score on you.
Yep.
If you don't play mistake-free football, Seattle's always been an opportunistic and momentum-driven bunch.
They're a well-coached team.
They're highly emotional, and if you let them get on this high, they stay on it.
Yep.
So I think that's really what happened. Is Detroit was beating them, they made the mistake, it snowballed, and that snowball turned into an avalanche, and they ended up losing.
Yep.
That's really all I have to say about it, though. These two teams sort of did what we knew. They could both score, and neither one of them is going to stop you a whole lot.
Yep. So, interesting to see where the Lions take this loss and learn from it, hopefully.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. I'm not wishing on any player to get injured, but now that Jahmyr Gibbs is being given kind of that premier role, I'd like to see him used in that way.
I think he's going to this week.
Yeah, well, I hope so. And speedy recovery, David Montgomery. Hope you're back on the field sooner rather than later. And these are two teams that are going to be... I think the Lions are a little bit more interesting to follow for the rest of the season. But the Seahawks are always a feisty team. So if the Seahawks can keep doing stuff like this, it's very possible they have a wild card spot again.
I think they will.
Yep.
Okay. Chargers. Speaking of doing Charger things.
Charger style, baby.
Charger style. They go to Tennessee and lose to the vaunted Titans 24-27 in overtime. This loss is much more egregious than the Dolphins' loss.
Agreed.
Losing to the Dolphins, you don't want to lose. The Dolphins, everybody knows the Dolphins are wildly talented.
Yep.
Everybody knows the Titans are not.
Yep.
And we give Mike Vrabel a lot of credit. This is the type of game where that proves why.
Yep.
And this is another type of game where the Titans are always going to play you tough. The Chargers got up into the 20s again for scoring, so they've scored, 54?
58?
I don't know, 50-something points on the year. I forget what they scored last week. It was in the 30s last week.
34?
Yeah, something like that. You cannot... When you have Joey Bosa, Derwin James, Khalil Mack, Eric Kendricks didn't play... J.C. Jackson. Like, you got a talented group of dudes. They have nothing except Derrick Henry.
Yep.
And they put up 27 on you. They might not put up 27 on, they maybe will put up 27 two more times this year.
Yep.
I mean, you let Ryan Tannehill, who, he's not a bad quarterback, but he's not, awesome. And last week, he was awful.
Yep.
You let him get right against you.
Yep.
That defense is a fucking problem, dude.
And the worst, and I still am on the belief of it's not the defense that's the problem, it's the fucking head coach who's
but it's both.
Defensive plays. The defense absolutely is too talented to be letting this happen. So that's when I start pointing fingers at the
dude. It's both. The first, here's my offseason plan for the Chargers. We fire Brandon Staley. We hire an exorcist. We are getting rid of whatever the hell is in this goddamn building. Who is in here?
I think you hire 3 exorcists.
We are going ever. We're putting one in the facility.
One on the offense, one on the defense, one on special teams, 2 on special teams.
Yeah, and then we're getting another one to go through the goddamn stadium.
Yeah.
Okay? There is a black cat running around that building. It's running under ladders. It is smashing mirrors. It is doing everything you don't want. It's spilling salt. It's stepping on sidewalk cracks.
Oh, it's doing everything it can to ruin the Chargers.
And this team... they don't know how to win.
No.
There are some teams that you just get the sense, okay, this team understands how to, in this moment, put themselves in a good position. For whatever reason. I don't even know what it is. It could be Staley, but this has been the Chargers for a long time. They don't know how to win. It's just weird, dude. And really,
excuse me.
I mean, listen... Staley just does not justify his existence as Chargers head coach.
No.
If you were to have an offensive coach with Herbert, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, whatever. But it makes more sense to have a coach that would focus on him and that side of the ball when you can't even get your defense to be good anyways.
And especially when you're paying him now.
Yeah, it's like...
Jim Harbaugh.
If you are going to have a defensive coach, you have to be able to have that side of the ball be good.
Absolutely.
It's just... There is no reason for him to still be the Charger coach.
No, there's other than the Chargers are notoriously cheap.
Yes, they're cheap.
And as our friend Harrison puts it, they do not fire midseason. So hopefully that changes because this is so bad. I'm not saying hit the panic button, fire 0-3, but you'd have every reason to. Ownership probably won't.
They shouldn't do it right now because it's still too early in the year to do it.
Exactly.
It's such a huge shakeup where it's basically when you do it, you've almost forfeited your season.
Yep.
Week 3 is too easy to do. Is too early. But there's no way the Titans are not a team that is good on offense. DeAndre Hopkins is a good receiver. He's an aging receiver, and he's the only dude they have.
Yep.
Derrick Henry, power back, great. We know the Chargers aren't powerful. They've never been a powerful physical team.
Yep.
There's only been a couple physical players ever for the Chargers. But goddamn, dude, 27 points, and not to mention Treylon Burks caught a bomb on him. It's I just don't get it. I don't put a lot of blame on Herbert. You could say he didn't they didn't do well at the end of the game in the last drive against Miami or the overtime in Tennessee. Whatever. You can say that. You have a fair argument. Don't care. It's not where the problem is for the Chargers.
It's not Herbert.
When you put up consistently high points, you're meant to win.
Yep.
This is why football is a team game. If your offense puts up points and you lose, it is not your quarterback's fault you lost.
Yeah.
There's just no reason for it. That defense has to get better. It's too damn talented. They need to figure out what the hell's going on. Like, do the guys not fit the scheme? Are they Did they build this thing in the wrong spots? Like, what did they do wrong here? Because whatever it is, it's never good.
Yep. No,
all I'm going to say about it is the Chargers lost a game that they were supposed to win. You're going to Minnesota this week. They're 0-2 also, and they've played a lot better than you.
Yeah, I'm scared for if I'm a Chargers fan. I am potentially staring at 0-3 in the face because...
And their season be over.
And their season being over. Man, it's... I made the joke a little bit earlier, but I genuinely think, like, if there's any team that needs to get Jim Harbaugh out of Michigan to come in and coach their football team, I would say it's the Chargers because you missed out on Sean Payton.
You might have a hard time with that though because I don't think it's. Well, I'm saying I don't think the Chargers. I don't think they're a team that would handle like a hard ass very well.
No, I more realistically.
Herbert might. He seems a little tougher to rattle.
Yeah,
but
realistically speaking, you brought in Kellen Moore to fix your offense.
He'll be their coach.
He did a great job. Kellen Moore is most likely going to be your next coach. I'm fine with that. I really don't even have a problem with it. What I'm excited to see is this team fire Brandon Staley. Bring in Kellen Moore if that's what you're going for as your offensive head coach that clearly is working well with Herbert through 2 weeks. And bringing in a Vic Fangio level guy for your defense to just fix it.
Good luck.
And you're not going to find one that easily.
And they're not going to pay one.
And they won't pay one. But this is the best way you can handle this situation. Is this season is very close to being lost.
Should need a hard reset. I'd look at some of the pieces in this locker room too and be like, okay, the Chargers might be in a situation where they just need to like mass exodus some people.
I'm fine with that.
No, me too.
Yeah.
But you also, it's like you have Herbert. You don't want to waste years, but it's like, God damn, man, there's a problem there.
Yep. There's a lot of issues that this team needs to fix, and
you can't be losing to Tennessee.
You can't. This is not a game you're supposed to lose, and the fact that you did.
The only good news for them is the teams in their division are at best 1-1.
Yep.
That is your only saving grace right now because you've had 2 losses. I don't begrudge you the Miami loss. I think a lot of people are going to lose to Miami. I picked you to lose to Miami.
Yep.
This one is concerning.
This one's very concerning. This one starts getting the alarm bells going.
All right, moving on. Okay, we're not going to talk long about this one. Chicago went to Tampa Bay and they lose 17-27. Tampa Bay is one of the more fraudulent 2-0 teams, but they are 2-0, so good on them. Chicago's still running a very weird offense, and I mean it's just not good. Like Eberflus is going to be fired.
Mm-hmm. He's number 2 on my
depending on where they end up, Justin Fields will probably be replaced or traded, something of that ilk. Yeah. I just don't get them. They're another team that doesn't do smart things, just ever. They are hell bent on only doing confusing things.
You know they're going to bring in Drake May.
If they get that high in the draft, and they could.
I think it's very likely that they do. I think they bring in another UNC quarterback and ruin him.
Who knows? Do they play the Cardinals this year?
Cardinals are going to get...
Who gets Caleb Williams?
Yeah, Cardinals will get Caleb Williams. Bears are going to get Drake May.
Yeah, who knows?
Lock it in now.
All I know is it was another uninspired showing. Their defense is still bad. Their O-line does crazy. Do you watch the QB School on YouTube?
I do.
He put a really
90-minute long video.
I watch all those. The shit the Bears offense does is wild.
Absolutely. It is more than incompetent. It is, what the fuck are we doing?
I just don't get it. Like, this is the type of thing where, and I've said all year, this is the year I judge Justin Fields, and I will judge him for this year. That doesn't mean I can't also say that the Buccaneers offense the Bears offense is horribly run.
He's not in it, and everybody who's watched this channel for the past year and a half, you will know how I feel about Justin Fields.
Yep.
I am coming out right now and saying he is in a shit situation.
The worst thing that could have ever happened to him was getting drafted by Chicago.
Absolutely. I will give him the benefit of the doubt. He is an athlete. He's obviously a better athlete than I. He's hell of a runner, and he does a great job with that. But again, I talked about it last week. The only times we ever see highlights from Justin Fields are when he's running. 50% of that is on the Bears' offensive scheming.
They're just
50% of
bad.
it is on him. Because there are very egregious moments as a quarterback where he's clearly not going through his reads.
Yeah. No, no, I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yep.
I'm just saying the stuff I've seen, it's like Tampa Bay's not an elite team, but goddamn, if you do some of the shit Chicago does, Tampa Bay's defense can easily
Stop you.
beat the hell out of you.
Yep.
Like, they still have guys out there.
They've got guys, yeah.
It's like Chicago's just not it.
No.
And their defense, Baker Mayfield's playing well, whatever.
He's playing
That offense ain't that good.
Yeah.
They're not 30 points on you good, basically.
Yeah, and let me also preface with
Shout out to Mike Evans on my fantasy team.
Mike Evans is a stud. The fact that they're
Considering
not
I just lost a major fantasy player last night.
Saquon.
Nick Chubb. I was gonna win my game last night. I lost by 6 points.
Oh,
and then he went out in the first half.
fantasy's a fickle beast. If it makes you feel any better, I lost to Colton by like 12 points.
Yeah.
My bench had 70 points sitting on it.
Makes sense.
I had Puka Nakua, who I was like, I picked up.
Oh, that's who you got.
I
That's who
picked up
picked him
Puka,
up. Yeah.
but they're playing San Fran, and I'm like, I don't believe in the Rams. I'm like, I'm San Fran's gonna be.
We
able
just
to-
haven't
and we'll get there.
Just nobody's seen Puka Nakua enough to know better.
Yeah. So the dude had 15
But it's
catches for
alright.
147
All I know
Insane guy.
All I'm saying, all I know is like last thoughts on this game. These are two teams that aren't good. Tampa Bay's 2-0. That's good on them, dude. That's fine. Chicago's the one where it's like they're going to be sweeping changes in that organization this offseason.
Have to be. And
I don't get that. I need to figure out what the hell's going on more with that Bears organization. There's no reason they should be that bad.
it's the owners. It's from top to
It
bottom.
could be, but they're one of the only teams that have are this bad off. That are, like whenever people mention bad owners, the Bears are never brought up for that.
It's because they've.
I've got to look into that but it really is like
It's the McCaskies.
it's just weird. But whatever. I don't feel like talking about the Bears and Buccaneers anymore.
I'll make one final point. The Buccaneers schedule coming up is a lot more difficult, so you'll start to see who I think the true Buccaneers team is, and so it'll be interesting to see how Baker responds. I am a Baker fan, but I wouldn't bet on him. There's a reason I'm not picking him up in fantasy when I might need a quarterback soon, because I have Joe Burrow. I will say I think this is Justin Fields' last year as a Chicago Bear and as a relevant fantasy quarterback, or as a relevant NFL quarterback in general. He might be able to maybe at some point Geno Smith it, depending on what the situation in the league looks like.
I wouldn't doubt
7
that,
years
but
from now, but this is unfortunately going to reflect on him just as much as it's going to reflect on.
I don't doubt he's going to be starting next year. It just won't be in Chicago.
No,
Some team will take a chance on him.
Absolutely,
It's
first round talent gets first round.
But he's not going to be.
priority.
I don't think he's going to be in Chicago.
No.
All
it's
right.
gonna be
Up
someone.
next, Kansas City went to Jacksonville. This game is 17-9 Chiefs.
It's the ugliest game of the week.
I predicted the result right. I definitely thought both of these teams would score more.
Yeah. Me too.
I don't know what to make of this game because it's so weird. Which, go figure.
Yeah.
Weird things happen in Jacksonville. The Chiefs' offense is a little concerning. I don't know.
The second you say that, they show up.
But that's the thing. I'm like, I'm not actually worried about them, but through 2 games, they haven't done much.
Right.
Jacksonville, same thing. I feel like Jacksonville is just not quite ready for the moment. I think that they were really in their head that Kansas City was in their building.
Yeah.
And it wasn't so much like Jacksonville's off, because Jacksonville had a lot of near misses.
Yep.
Like a lot of things where they're catching it on the sideline and the toe lands just out of bounds or something like that. They had a lot of really close things.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
Yeah.
Like I said, the result's what I thought it was going to be. Kansas City wins.
I would have much more
But-
expected to be 27-19.
I thought it was going to be 30-25.
Yeah,
Something like that.
Something like that. So, personally, I agree with you. I think, first of all, the Chiefs are able to win these kind of slugfests because they've been there before.
Yes.
You still have Patrick Mahomes, who, love him or hate him, is a very high-quality quarterback. So, if you put him in a situation where a
He
team
is
is only
quality.
scoring 9 points, he's probably going to be okay.
Yeah. If you don't score 10 points, you're probably losing to Kansas City.
Yep. Travis Kelce is back. Scored a touchdown.
Didn't look like himself.
Didn't look like himself.
But he was back.
But he was back. I think as the weeks go on more and more, you'll probably get more of Travis Kelce doing Travis Kelce things. But
Definitely.
I do think it's also possible that he starts showing his age. Not saying he's going to suck. Not saying he's going to be out of the league next year. You know what I'm saying, though? He's getting a little bit older. I think the true lack of a true number one wide receiver for Kansas City, even if you do have a guy who elevates his wide receiver core like Patrick Mahomes does, if you don't have the talent to be a number two who can be elevated to a number one with a Andy Reid offense and a Patrick Mahomes level quarterback, we're starting to see what that looks like. The offense besides Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes has not been there.
They just don't do what they're supposed to do. It's weird. Here's what it is. It's the young players in the Chiefs offense that have been like infused into it in the last 2 years aren't doing what they're supposed to do.
No. And I think Kadarius Toney is clearly not the guy. Does that mean he's a terrible football player and should be on the field?
Absolutely.
Absolutely does.
Yeah.
No, I think he's a solid wide. I think he's a wide receiver 3. He could be a potential Zay Jones level guy like the Jags have. But the problem is he's being asked to be a 1 or a 2. Sky Moore not bringing it to the table like he was supposed to. The running back room with Pacheco potential did Pacheco play? I can't remember.
Yeah, he played.
Okay, so Pacheco suffered an injury last week, but is good to go. You have Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You have Jerick McKinnon. Nothing is working right now. And it's concerning, but not in a sky is falling. They're going to be terrible this year kind of way.
Yeah, they're going to be fine.
It's the Kansas City Chiefs. They'll find a way to bounce back. Counting them out now is just stupid.
It's a fool's errand.
Yeah, and you're just, you're wishful thinking if you're hoping that the dynasty is over already.
Well, it's not a dynasty, first of all.
True, but you know what I mean by like the dynasty they're expecting.
That word gets thrown around too often. Dynasty is 3 and 4 years and at least one repeat.
Yeah, I would straight up say that the dynasty that they are projected to have, that everybody is saying is on the cusp. We're here. Kansas City's going to be running this for the next 6 years. If you're already calling it quits on that, you're probably not paying attention.
No, you just don't want them to be good.
And that's fine. I don't want them to be good. But realistically speaking, they are still a very formidable team that you should be worried about. Jacksonville, just a little bit young. Not really fully ready to be the Chiefs killer that everybody is expecting some of these AFC teams to be. I'm not really out on them. This is, look, if you lose...
Not out on them. This was just a weird game.
Yeah, I expected better from both teams. If you're going to hold the Chiefs to 17 points, and the Chiefs had 3 turnovers...
they wanted to lose.
They wanted to lose, and you're unable to score points on them. That's concerning. But I do think that this is a quality roster. Jacksonville's in the AFC South, so they're going to be fine.
They're fine.
I expect a bounce-back week.
All right. Speaking of the AFC South, the Indianapolis Colts go to Houston and defeat the Texans 31-20.
Sure.
I mean,
Sure.
it is what it is.
Why the fuck not?
C.J. Stroud, 350 yards, something like that, passing. Pretty easy to do when you're down by that much and they're just sort of like backed off, but good on him for hitting it. Anthony Richardson leaves with a concussion.
Bummer.
Watch out for that.
Gardner Minshew looked like Gardner Minshew.
The last thing you need, my biggest takeaway from this is Anthony Richardson hasn't finished either of the first 2 games.
Yep.
He had got like some like knee type bruise, like a bone bruise in his knee in week 1, concussion week 2. If that's what we're doing, get out of bounds, slide, protect yourself.
Go down.
You cannot. They need him to finish games.
Yep.
We're 2 games in.
Yep.
Like
the fact that we've seen Gardner Minshew twice already this year is
not what we were expecting.
not what you were hoping for.
I don't know.
Hard
Man.
to develop when you're sitting on the bench.
Exactly, but like I don't know, man. This game is.
It could have gone either
I picked the Colts. The Colts won. All I really have to say about it, I wasn't expecting much from this game. I didn't get much from this game. Texans are 0-2, big surprise. I don't know. This one's pretty like cut by like print by numbers, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah. I mean, I really don't have anything super exciting about any of this other than there are 2 football teams that played.
They both are in the NFL.
There are 2 NFL teams that played an NFL game, and 1 team won.
Yeah, exactly.
So personally,
fine.
I think the Colts are a little bit further in their rebuild than the Texans are, but that's not surprising nor news.
Yep, they are.
I think both these teams are going to be relatively similar in records, with the Colts having a little bit of an edge. But I think you're right about the Anthony Richardson thing. Is if you're gonna get hurt after 2 weeks and get hurt both weeks, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Again, we can't see that talent. We can't see that projection of how good you're gonna be if you can't stay on the field. Good on them for having Gardner Minshew as their backup quarterback, who I think is a fine backup.
Good
quarterback.
backup.
C.J. Stroud, 300 yards. Gonna happen when you're playing from behind all game and in garbage time a little bit. Better showing than last week. Good on you. And,
Yeah, I mean, you better. You're playing the Colts. You're not playing the Ravens.
Yeah, so I guess we'll see. That's all I really got.
Yeah. Still two teams with rookie quarterbacks. One team is just better than the other, plain and simple.
Very easy.
All right. The San Francisco 49ers go to Los Angeles and defeat the Rams 30-23. Rams breaking a lot of people's hearts with a backdoor cover, kicking a field goal with 4 seconds left in the game.
What the fuck was that? What the
A lot of people are
was
wondering.
that? Yeah, that is the most Vegas call.
A
of
lot
all
of
time.
people are saying, like, the Rams are like, oh, they could kick the field goal, get an onside kick, and try Hail Mary.
No.
I don't know about that 4 seconds
4
left.
seconds.
but-
Yeah, it's like, no. Throw the shot to the end zone
Yeah.
if you're going to do that shit.
So this game was really sort of a tale of two halves, where they played kind of even through the first half. It was 17-17 going into halftime, and then San Fran sort of pulled away on them.
Yep.
The Puka Nacua thing, not altogether shocking. He's sort of in that Cooper Cup role, but just
And
the
Sean
49ers
McVay
have
knows
never
how to get him over.
faced Puka Nacua before. They've never seen them before. They know the 49ers really well, too.
Yep.
I don't know. This game was about right. It was going to be more competitive than the Steeler game because
yeah.
you're not going to beat everybody 37.
Sure.
And McVay is still a smart offensive coach. Fine by me. like
Very. Like I said after week one, if the Rams are going to play the way that they did, maybe that's week one.
I think they're more feisty than we thought.
Yeah. Now that we're 2 weeks in, I'm going to say that the Rams are a team you cannot count out just because.
Yeah.
You still have Sean McVay. You've got Aaron Donald. This is you have.
They have
an
pride on
offensive,
that side.
Yeah. So this is not a team that's trying to roll over and die for no reason. This is a team that if you, very similar to the Seahawks, if you make mistakes and you do dumb shit, and they can beat you. So I would definitely say, I'm going to give credit to the Rams for showing
too.
up. This is a game that I did not have I have Puka Nacua in 2 leagues. I have no interest in starting him against San Fran. I was proven completely fucking wrong.
Yeah.
So I will.
I think it helps a lot. They have a high volume towards like specific positions on their offense, and he's playing one of those spots.
Perfectly acceptable, but I expected the 49ers defense to put a clamp on that and not do it. They still found a way to be effective in offense, and again, the box score is so unfair because
They clamped them in the second. The first half, the Rams got them on their back foot a little bit. Second half, they had nothing.
They really didn't. And that final field goal, if you were betting on this game, I feel terrible for you.
Oh,
because
God.
that is the most Vegas phone call of all time. That is without a doubt. Like you could make the argument.
You kicked that goddamn field goal.
They're like, kick that fucking field goal as quickly as you can. We lost so much money on a fucking field goal fucking bet that we gave out, which was plus 20,000 odds, and every team kicked a fucking field goal. The finance team is calling us in a fucking fit.
Yeah, I
like
bet.
so anybody who also bet on this game is getting fucked.
Exactly. Here's my main takeaways from this game. This game is closer, or this game was actually less close than that score would indicate.
Yep.
The Niners missed 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
So I don't know.
Brock Purdy's legit, man.
No, he's legit,
I will give it to Brock.
this
Purdy.
was a game though where he missed 2 touchdowns. They were like sort of deep throws that were late in like the progressions.
Yep.
And so Kyle Shanahan in the post game was like, honestly, we didn't even think the ball had a chance of going there. So when it got thrown, it was a little bit off. We were like, all right, whatever.
Yep.
But overall,
49ers.
I never
49ers.
expect the Rams to lay down, even though we tend to beat them. It doesn't. We don't.
Doesn't mean it's going to be easy.
No, and usually when we beat them big, it's when we beat them in San Francisco. And this also needs to be talked about also, that I'm very pleased about. The 49ers started 2-0 with 2 road games. So
Good start.
I'll take that. We return home Thursday night for the Giants. And I'm pretty pumped. For some people.
Sure.
But, no, so I'm we started off 2-0 on the road, 1 in Pittsburgh, 1 in a division rival's house. to leave that 2-0, I'm happy with it.
Great start.
All right. Oh, speaking of the Giants, they go to Arizona and beat the Cardinals 31-28. This is a win you don't feel good about.
No.
What the hell are you doing being down like 21-0 to the Cardinals?
What? Oh my God, it was so bad.
And by the way, Saquon Barkley's got a sprained ankle and won't play Thursday.
Yeah. I just got a notification as we were filming, by the way, because I have Saquon on my fantasy team in a different league.
Yeah.
They were like, we're not ruling him out. I'm like, you fucking better.
You better.
Yeah. He's like, he's a fast healer. I'm like, I don't give a shit.
fast
Like,
healer.
yeah, it's Thursday night football.
No, play him.
No, don't play him. I
No,
need him.
play him.
I have no running backs.
No, play him. I'd love to let our guys hunt a wobbly Saquon Barkley.
Whatever. So yeah, the Giants. What a rough start to the year.
They're doing something.
I don't give a shit that you won this game.
Yeah, you lost.
Yeah, the fact that you had to come back in the final couple moments against the fucking Arizona Cardinals. Yeah, your offense.
Which, by the way, credit to them. Those players didn't get the memo that they're tanking.
Yeah, I think I made the joke. I was like halfway through the game, like they realized what they were actually playing for, and it's not a Super Bowl. It is Caleb fucking Williams. So funny.
Halfway through the game, Michael Bidwell got on the phone to the head coach and was like, "What is happening?
Doing, Jonathan?"
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I genuinely do not feel good about this game in the slightest. The Giants' offense came alive in the second half, and it was kind of fun to watch because I don't really have any care for either of these teams. But that being said,
Yeah.
if you can't do that for an entire football game, you're not going to do well. And this defense,
Let's hope.
This defense took forever to wake up.
It still didn't wake up. You give up 28 points to the Cardinals, you have not woken up.
Facts. They made stops when they needed to, but that's
Their corners
the fact that they had to.
are so bad.
It is not great.
Do you know who played corner for them?
I don't.
There's like something where it's like I think it's like like two undrafted rookies play corner for the Giants.
I mean, I'm just gonna put it this way: when you make Josh Dobbs, who's not on this team 2 weeks ago, look as good as he did, you will have a problem.
Oh, so we have Trey Hawkins the third, Deontay Banks, their rookie first rounder, and then Adoree Jackson in the slot. We're not cooking with that.
It's not inspiring a lot of confidence. That's
Kayvon
for sure.
Thibodeau is ranked 86th of 107 edges.
Oof.
Dexter Lawrence is playing good.
That's
about it, though.
Not a big surprise. This is definitely a panic button moment for me if I'm a Giants fan. The regression was expected, so let's not blow that out of proportion, but not this bad.
Yeah.
And to be honest, this is like you almost gave the Cardinals their only win of the season. Do you want to be that team?
No, this is like the year where there is a span where the Browns go 1-32.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember who that one win was against?
Hold on. No, I know this.
It's the most hilarious thing. It's the Chargers.
That's right.
It was the Chargers.
That's right.
Of all teams, it was the Chargers.
That's completely
You
right.
don't want to be the one team that got beat.
You don't want to ever have that conversation.
You
Ever.
don't want to be the Chargers.
Nope. Charter style, baby.
Exactly. That being the one team that loses to Cleveland in 2 years, that's Charger style.
That's Charter style.
But yeah, that's all. I don't want to talk about this game.
No, I'm done.
It's ugly. It was dumb. You should never have been close with the Cardinals, yet you were. That tells me more about you than them.
I was watching this game with my friend Nick, who's a Giants fan, and watching him be so excited about it, I just sat there and I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck, man?
We got the heart of a champion. Not really.
And I'm sitting there coming off of a loss, and I'm like, I feel better about my team than this team.
Yeah. No, they're not good. And speaking of New York football, the New York Jets.
GTS suck.
Exactly. The New York Jets, they go to Dallas and get smacked by the Cowboys 30-10. Makes sense.
Huge surprise.
Zach Wilson's not ready against some bad teams. Micah Parsons is going to feast on the Jets O-line, and was my prediction going in.
Micah Parsons
I think
destroyed Zach Wilson on one hit. That was just
I bet.
hard to watch. Poor guy.
The Jets are in trouble if they don't have... Like, it's going to be the same thing it was last year. As for Dallas, because Dallas is the one everybody's having some big sweeping takes about, I think we are overrating the 2 victories they've had.
Sure.
Not in that they haven't done what they're supposed to do, but to be like, oh, Dallas looks unstoppable.
Yeah.
You've
You
played
would too
the
against these two teams.
You've played the New York Giants, which you sort of just jumped on game flow wise and you got away from them. Credit to you, you beat them, but you beat them good. But they're also out here having close games with the Cardinals. And then you played the Zach Wilson-led Jets.
Yeah.
That is a very different challenge than the Aaron Rodgers-led Jets.
Very much so. And I think we're seeing that more and more as, and granted, I will give credit to Aaron Rodgers for being a good guy and saying he will mentor Zach Wilson. You better be mentoring him pretty fucking well, because this is not it. The only touchdown they scored was off of a Garrett Wilson is a badass MFer, and took a slant
68 yards.
to the house. He'll do that, but for the most part, there were a lot of opportunities for him to get multiple touchdowns in this game that Zach Wilson could not deliver on. And I love Zach Wilson. I want him to be good, but he's not. So
Yeah.
it is.
I mean, we're in a phase, though, where here's what we're going to be dealing with for the next couple weeks, really. This Sunday, the Cowboys get to play the Cardinals.
Oh man.
So we're going to... And then after that, they play the Patriots. And then after that, they play the 49ers.
So they don't.
So
really,
basically,
they get
week
another
5,
preseason.
Yeah, exactly.
They get a brand new preseason.
So basically,
That counts.
the Jets game would have been tougher if Rodgers was in.
Yeah.
I still thought that the Cowboys would win, but it would be close. They're going to beat the shit. If they'd, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if they stumble and the Patriots beat them.
Yep.
Because that's what Dallas does.
Yep.
But if not, I think that they're going to be feeling real great about themselves just in time to get hit in the face by the 49ers on Sunday Night Football.
It's very possible that.
But
that's going to be their. First
I just
real
think
test.
I think the Cowboys are the team that we're going to get ahead of ourselves with through 4 games because you got a cupcake schedule to start the year. Like,
Yeah. No, and I will say
and I'm somebody that I think they're good, and I think they're going to win the NFC East.
Mhm.
To say that they're like, oh, they look like this unstoppable juggernaut. Who have they really dealt with? Like,
no one inspiring.
no. And I mean, and the Jets' defense can only be out there for so damn long before it starts to break.
Yeah.
Not to
and-
mention with the assistance of a really gorgeous bullshit roughing the passer call, where he tackles Dak around the hips, and they're like,
throwing the flag. Just can't do that.
so it's like, okay.
Yeah, so I will say credit where credit's due. The Cowboys look as they should, dominant in these first 2 games.
Yeah.
But you would hope so that a team with that defense and a well enough offense can look that good against 2 very bad teams. Again, the Jets are pretty solid, but without Aaron Rodgers, this is a completely different situation and team.
Yeah.
And going back to what I said when we were talking about the Eagles. Eagles have played better competition and still come out winners. The Cowboys have not, and they've come out dominant winners. So, personally, I do think the Cowboys have a bit of an edge going into potentially winning the NFC East. But we won't really be able to fully evaluate that until they go in and meet Kansas City, but San Francisco. So, good job, Dallas. You did what you're supposed to be doing.
After the Niner game, it gets a little more interesting.
Okay.
They go Niners, Chargers, Rams, Eagles. So those 4 games, Rams are not as much, but they're feisty. But
Right.
Niners, Chargers, Eagles should at least be like,
A good.
all right, we'll
evaluation.
see what you really are.
Yep. I think that'll be a good test.
Yeah. But overall,
after they get a free preseason,
This game wasn't close. I predicted Micah Parsons is going to win Defense Player of the Year this year.
he's looking.
I'm
like
feeling
it.
pretty good right now.
He's looking like it.
TJ Watt's making a nice little case for himself, though. But
TJ Watt is TJ Watt.
But yeah, I mean, this was chalk to me.
Yep.
It made sense. They won how I thought they'd win, so it's cool.
Yep.
Up next, Washington goes to Denver, wins 36-34.
Let's ride.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, they come out, they win 36 to
35-33.
35-33. Yeah, okay, my bad.
Here.
35-33. In a weird game, also. Denver goes up 21-3. Washington storms back. Denver comes back, hits the Hail Mary, and
Worst
then
Hail Mary ever, but
Yeah, and
still
then
counts.
and you hate to do this, but it really was a bad no call.
It was
on that 2-point conversion.
It was
like you hate to do this, but when he grabs you by the shoulder pads and does that before the ball gets there, it's like, okay.
hate to take away an excuse for the Denver Broncos fandom because I would love to say you guys suck.
Not to mention that Kareem Jackson ejection was bullshit.
I mean, it was head to head.
Whatever, that's bullshit.
I think if you're Sam Howell, you have a wide open Jahan Dotson, and you don't have to get your tight end killed. But that being said, yeah, how we feeling, Broncos country?
Same as you guys.
I think less. I mean, this should be a much better situation.
The only difference is they don't have a team in their division that's 2-0.
That's completely fair. So all I'll say is the no call blows. This is. You should have not have been that situation. When you make Sam Howell look as good as he did against a Denver Broncos defense that is supposed to be
that's what I was going to say.
Very good.
The thing that's shocking is the offense actually did enough, technically. But, 33 points is enough.
Technically.
I mean, when you're up 21-3, they should never be able to come back.
That's what I'm saying. Especially with how good that defense is. Pat Surtain is your cornerback, and he's the best in the league.
I don't remember them fucking ever throwing at him.
No, not often. They granted the offensive scheming for the Commanders has been pretty solid.
Fine.
But that being said, up 21-3 against a.
Is Washington 2-0 now?
Yep.
There's another fake 2-0 team. I need to just go through the 2-0 and 0-2 teams, be like, who's real, who's not.
We can do something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind at all. Yeah, Commanders. I mean, first of all, I just need to issue a public apology for telling everybody to start Jahan Dotson. 3 catches for 22 yards. I was screaming at the TV multiple times that they just do not want to throw to Jahan Dotson sometimes, and they picked this week to do that. So, and granted, I don't know if Jahan Dotson was being blanketed by Pat Surtain, but there were a lot of moments where Jahan Dotson was open for a touchdown, and Sam Howell said, fuck it, I'm throwing it to someone else, or Brian Robinson's going to take it in from 15 yards out. So,
I'd want to say that I don't think he was blanketed by I think for the most part, Surtain would have been on McLaurin.
Should have been.
I just remember the only play I remember is McLaurin jumps up between the two dudes, and Surtain was not one of them.
Yep.
So I don't remember.
So that's strictly why I say I'm like, I don't know if it was just a bad day for me and everybody who.
I think it was.
I'm hoping the 16 people who probably took my advice didn't. Yeah, Jahan Dotson screwed me.
Oh God.
Sorry, Colton, because Colton did tell me, he was like, yeah, I watched your podcast. Started Jahan Dotson in my other league because I believed you.
Sorry, Colton.
Yeah, so sorry, Colton. Did not mean to screw you on that one. Screwed myself. Looking at my 3 fantasy teams, I'm 0-2 on all of them. Week 1, obviously.
How are we feeling?
Joe Burrow and team. Honest to God, my roster's fine. I'm just catching bad breaks right now, so I'm hoping I can turn it around. I'm not in panic mode for my fantasy teams. I did a good job drafting, but there are some moments where I'm like, I have a lot of wide receivers. Maybe I should bring in a running back.
Losing Nick Chubb for me has me concerned.
I need a running back myself, to be honest with you. So, that being said, I am top in the waiver priority, so you are not getting Jerome Ford. I am. But
either way, Denver's played 2 games that have been very similar the whole way through. They played really, really good in spurts, and then they just don't finish it.
Yeah, I have questions of whose fault is it.
I don't.
I am blaming Vance Joseph mostly.
Yeah, that's part of it.
That's part of it. I am going to stay on my high horse and blame Russell Wilson for being inconsistent as hell.
Did you hear what Sean Payton said?
I did not.
They're like, he's having to simplify the offense now. He's like, we need to use less words in our play calls, I think.
That sounds.
We're having to go to the wristband more, I think.
That sounds like the most Sean Payton comment ever.
I mean,
and he is just like
you know who he never had to bring that up with? Drew Brees.
Yeah, so it sounds like the most Sean Payton thing ever. That instead of Sean Payton being humble, Sean Payton is strictly blaming his quarterback.
Well, I mean, it's never been a problem before.
Nope.
Well, his offense is also notoriously wordy.
Yep.
Like the Niner offense is also that way.
Yep.
You gotta be able to spit it out. All I know is
Brock Purdy's able to handle.
All I know is I'm not gonna put too much of this game necessarily on the Bronco offense. They got up 21-3. Yeah, you let them come back, but you should also never be in a position where when you have that defense, you're giving up that much.
Yep.
And then they also managed to, even after that, they came back and did manage to get to 33. Now, if you want to knock 6 points off of it and really say 27, because Hail Marys,
it wasn't.
It's almost less. It's less skill than it is.
No. And I'm not taking away from a Hail Mary in general because it does take some skill to at least get that done. The reason I say it is the worst Hail Mary I've ever seen is because it was basically thrown to a defender 5 yards short of the goal line and Tip Drill took over.
It was like that AJ Green Hail Mary against Baltimore.
Yep. It happens.
Well, I'm not like meaning that as an insult. I'm saying that's what it was like.
It's like
some idiot volleyballed the ball up.
If any person who's ever played high school football, you knock that down, you don't go for the.
You don't do like I remember seeing it in the play. I see the ball bounce off a helmet. A dude sees it and he does this. It's going down. And he's like.
Yeah, it's like who wants to be a hero?
It's like,
I remember high school football. One of my friends caught a pick in the end zone, ran it out for 2 yards.
Yeah,
and then my coach just goes,
"You
want to be a fucking hero?" And just you're gonna get a 100-yard pick six. Like just fucking knee the ball.
I know.
So it's a very it shouldn't have happened. It should have been a dead ball, and we're not even in the position where we have to worry about a no call. Also, Broncos shouldn't have been in a position where a no call defines their game.
Denver let 2 games slip away. 27 points should have been enough to beat Washington from the Broncos defense perspective.
Yep. The Broncos offense has finally done their job.
Credit to Washington for hanging in.
More than 16 points from Denver. Good on you.
Yeah. So.
And actually, you know what? Double that. You doubled what you were supposed to get.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it is a bummer that it ended the way that it did. There's a lot going wrong with the
I am curious about Vance Joseph though, because they struggled less but a little bit early in the game with the Raiders. They clamped down a bit later, but then this game it hasn't. So really through 8 quarters of football, through at least 5 of those quarters, they've had problems.
Yep, big surprise. And granted, I think Vance Joseph is a fine defensive coordinator, but it's clearly not working. So.
They should just, whatever the hell Vic Fangio is running, just run that. Like, that's the 49ers rule with their D coordinators because they're losing them to be head coaches.
Yep.
Whoever comes in next, they're like, we need to make this clear. We're not going to be changing a whole lot of what we do here. There's a reason the dudes keep getting hired as head coaches.
Yep. You're a locker room guy.
Yeah.
you're less of a defensive mind. You're more of a.
I mean, you can be a defensive mind, but just like understand that the foundation of this is not changing.
Yeah, you're not coming in to give us a new defense, but.
All right, Sunday Night Football. Miami goes to New England and wins 24-17. Kind of chalk. I knew that Miami wasn't going to be as dynamic as they were. New England is smarter on defense than the Chargers are, but
comes down to
they're just not
failed 4th down conversion from.
Yeah.
The Patriots.
Which I mean, listen, the fact that the Patriots are coming down to 4th down conversions against the Eagles and the Dolphins.
A lot better than I thought.
That is closer than many would have suspected.
A lot better than I thought.
And I think that means that New England is primed to pick off some team that's coming to town at some point.
Yep.
Like, New England's hanging in close with teams that are, like, substantially better.
Yep.
This is another one where it's like, yep, that's about how we would have thought. So. I don't have a lot to say. Mike McDaniel's hilarious. I love him.
I love Mike McDaniel.
And then
I can't hate on the guy.
Mike McDaniel.
So funny.
Mike McDaniel.
He's so funny.
Saving Tua's career and saving the Dolphins, and also just being a ray of goddamn sunshine.
Just being fun to watch. Yeah.
He's just hilarious.
This
is another one, dude. Where whether people want to talk about it or not, you can say system, and system's part of it. It doesn't matter if you're a system QB when you're in the right system.
That's fair.
Tua can run this fucking system.
Tua's running the system very well. And I, obviously, if you've watched the channel before, this is not news. I am not big on Tua.
Yep.
I do think I will be the guy who says system quarterback. But to your credit, when that system is as good as it is,
and that system's not leaving because it's from your head coach, not your OC.
Yep, a win.
That means you work.
A win is a win in the National Football League, and this team is winning, and Tua is playing winning football.
Most passing yards in the league, too.
If Tua can stay healthy,
watch out.
Watch out. There's no guarantee that he can, and that's still what we're all worried about.
Yes.
And that's what I am holding against him at this point now because I don't have anything else to hold against him.
No, and credit to him. He through the 2 Flores years, he got beat over the goddamn head with stuff.
True.
It really does show how much somebody believing in you and being willing to like work with you and tailor something to your strengths, which you'd think most coaches would fucking do that.
To do,
but clearly they don't. We hear it all the time that they don't.
It's my system, and you're gonna.
Yeah, it's a credit to him to be able to just sort of weather the storm. He didn't bitch about not getting a new contract or anything like that. I don't know. I'm rooting for the dude because I like the Dolphins also, but
I wouldn't say I'm rooting for the guy because I like to be right. Maybe wrong.
Well, not to mention that also goes in my way. I said that with McDaniel it would go well.
So true, but I do like McDaniel. This whole thing is working out very well. The Dolphins, if he can stay healthy, which is a big if, then this is a team you absolutely have to be worried about because Tua's playing good football and winning football, and I can't take that away from him, even if he is in a good system. And
every team playing Miami, when Tua's out there, batten down the hatches because a goddamn storm's coming.
Yep. Well said.
One of these days, we're going to see a team that shuts them down. We saw it last year. San Francisco managed to deal with them, and then the Chargers managed to do pretty good with them.
Not with their defense, not with their offense.
Well, yeah, but
and that's what you got.
But then we see the difference, which is the Chargers just run the same stuff out and act like nobody else got the film. But one of these days, somebody's going to make Miami look human, and frankly, New England made them look human. 24 points is not some like over
unreachable number.
Yeah, like Miami's. I'm not saying Miami's unbeatable, but they're goddamn dangerous.
They're a good football
and they
team.
look like they're hitting the higher end of their potential than like the fluke end or something like that. Like they're not beating you based on like, oh, he just managed to drop an 80-yard bomb to Tyreek Hill. They just methodically pick you apart with dudes that are too fast for you to hang with.
Yeah, it's very, it's incredibly hard to play defense against these guys. There's too many ways to have to be worried about for you to focus on taking away one. If you take away one, they still have three. You've got Raheem Mostert, who's able to effectively. Yeah, he's a great. He's looked fantastic.
4.3 speed, and he's like one of the slower guys on that offense.
Yep. You've got Tyreek Hill. If you're able to somehow stop Tyreek Hill, which is a tall order, Jalen Waddle. There's plenty of other guys on this offense who can make plays when they need to. That opens up the rest of this offense.
Yeah, it's all problems.
No, so I a lot of credit to the Dolphins. I was a little bit not, I was like, whatever. They're gonna come back down to earth. I've been wrong so far.
I think as we were heaping praise on Miami, the one thing I want to say about New England, I think they might be the AFC's version of maybe the Rams, where they're not that talented.
You can't.
But you look over them or you misstep,
and they'll take advantage of it.
They'll catch you.
They're pretty opportunistic. This is a team that is clearly fighting for a lot. When you're coached by Bill Belichick, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. New England's getting into purgatory mode, though.
They are getting very close to purgatory mode. And granted, they are not bringing in any offensive help for Mac Jones, and it is just a very basic offense, which is what they've always done. But the problem is...
They've not always done that.
Not always.
Their offense was notoriously intricate.
Back in the day, when you have prime Tom Brady, and you have...
literally until after Mac Jones was... I don't get why they did this, because Mac Jones could clearly handle the intricacy of it.
Yeah.
I think it was the receivers, because this happens all the time. When you plug a receiver in, New England's offense has so many sight adjustments and formations
and that's where
and details.
And that's where I think it fell off was when Julian Edelman retired and you lose Gronk and N'Keal Harry is your best option and he doesn't pan out the way you want him to be. Brady obviously, couldn't do everything for that roster.
No.
That his last year.
There's not a quarterback that can do everything.
Exactly. And you have Mac Jones, who I think is a fine quarterback. I don't think he's anything super
If he was
special.
in Minnesota, he'd look like Kirk Cousins.
Absolutely. I think he's a quality quarterback who can play very well. This team does not have the wide receivers you need to have an intricate offense, to have a true focus on a number one guy. You have Juju Smith-Schuster, whose knee is apparently a ticking time bomb.
Which is just
which
awesome.
Is crazy to hear about.
Well, it's a TikToking time bomb.
Are you proud of yourself?
A little bit.
Are you proud of yourself on that
I'm
one?
a little bit proud.
Christ, that is so bad.
Pundum,
But
yes!
I do love it, but that's how you know you got a good one. When you literally, when you have
When you
me,
just turn.
You have me of all jokes, who literally, like, me who tells so many dumb fucking jokes. And went with that one and it worked. God,
Woo!
that was a good one. I like that. Anyways, there's no real true wide receiver one over here. There's no true weapon you need to be worried about. Hunter Henry and Mike Gesicki are fine tight ends, but they're not being used correctly, nor are they world beaters.
But what New England's shown, they may not be dynamic, but what they lack in like a power shot, they make up for in just strong fundamentals.
Yep, good defense.
But we'll see. New England's not going to be great this year, but they're not going to be
terrible.
They're not a pushover.
Yeah. So
all right,
be interesting to see.
On a Monday night, the New Orleans Saints go to Carolina to take on the Panthers in Bryce Young's home debut, and the Saints win 20-17. I kind of called this one with the Panthers that they're going to start slow. New Orleans is good on defense. Carolina just doesn't have, like, they got the weapons to function, but not to, like, really do a whole lot.
Right.
New Orleans is just, I don't know what to make of the Saints.
Mid.
I would have thought they would have looked better.
Yeah. Same.
At least on offense. Defensively, they look fine.
Yeah, that's true.
Defensively, they're what we thought they'd be. Demario Davis, Cam Jordan, Marshawn Lattimore. They're a good group.
It's the New Orleans defense.
Yeah. Offensively, I thought they'd be a little bit better.
You and me both. Crazy catch by Chris Olave, by the way. Did you see it?
Yeah, he had one. Michael Thomas had a good one too.
So
they had a couple. They had like good moments in the game.
They have good moments, but they just don't have
the
drives.
Yeah, they didn't string them together.
Yeah, so
like
that's the biggest.
And New Orleans 2-0. I think they're a little bit better of a 2-0 team than some of the other ones.
Yeah,
like they're a better 2-0 team than Tampa Bay or Washington or something like that.
Sure.
I just don't quite know what they. I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to be thinking about them. They feel like a team that's also going to end up right around 9-8.
Mm-hmm.
Because
could win the division. Who knows?
You could. I don't know. Their offense. I need to see more from their offense. Their O-line's a problem.
Yeah.
Kamara coming back should tell us more.
Yeah, I'm interested. I'm keeping an eye on him, but Derek Carr did not look good last night. Lots of mistakes. Lots of, again, if you put pressure on Derek Carr, he's not a good quarterback.
Never was.
Yeah, and he's also the type of guy, in my opinion, this is a personal thing, who is going to blame his receivers and, do the thing that you see where he's always like making a big fuss out of bullshit.
Yeah.
That's just the quarterback he was for the Raiders. It's the quarterback he is for New Orleans. When you bring in a guy for as much money as you do, in Derek Carr, you expect him to be better than Andy Dalton / Jameis Winston. So far, well, when you pay him as much, when you pay him as much, you do. I'm not saying talent-wise he's better than those guys. He's clearly proven the opposite. But personally, you're paying this guy a lot of money to make this football team good and take advantage of a very weak division this year. He has not been that good.
I feel like they're the exact same as they were last year.
Yeah, they feel the only thing they have done differently is win football games.
Who the hell was the quarterback last year?
It was Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston.
Oh, Jesus
So
Christ.
Yeah, if you're not looking that much better than you were with those guys, why are you paying $100 million to your quarterback? It is a very weird situation for this team. I'm not sold on Derek Carr on this roster. I'm not sold on Derek Carr as a quarterback in the league anyways, but I at least was giving him the benefit of the doubt, especially with a much better team than he's had with the Raiders for a while.
Yeah.
And a better defense, which is something that he's usually not used to.
Did you see the stat or something like that where it's just like games where Derek Carr scores under 21 points in his career with the Raiders? It was like 4-70. With the Saints, he's 2-0. That tells you more about the Raiders than anything else. Absolutely. The Raiders will never accuse the Raiders of being like this great team building group.
Right, of course.
I think this is going to improve.
I do think,
to a level because, like I said, offense comes along slower than defense. And when quarterbacks switch, we've seen it even with Brady, Manning, Stafford. When Peyton Manning came to Denver, they started off 3-3, then went 13-3.
Yep.
Tom Brady and Tampa Bay, they go 10-7, something like that.
Win the Super Bowl.
And they were bumpy, and they didn't win their division, but they ended up winning the Super Bowl. Stafford started off great against Chicago, but then it was up and down, up and down, up and down. And they were up and down all the way until, lucky for them, they won a Super Bowl. So usually when these quarterbacks switch teams, when they've been somewhere for a long time...
It takes some getting used to.
Yeah. So I'm not out on New Orleans.
Right.
I'm still trying to figure them out.
I'm iffy on Derek Carr. I need to see better.
I just want to figure it out.
And I'm sure we will.
Oh, we will.
Yeah, but as of right now, it's like...
I'm just in the phase where I'm... The NFC South, too, the Falcons and the Saints, I'm still trying to gauge them.
Right.
So that's where I'm at with them.
You and me both.
In terms of Carolina, they just need some more weapons. They need...
Yeah.
This offseason needs to be a dedication to bringing in offensive talent. Be it wide receiver, O-line, whatever.
Yeah, whatever's going to help Bryce Young be able to take the next step.
Like, he doesn't look unfunctional or anything like that.
He looks tiny, though.
Yeah, we knew he was going to look... He looked tiny in college football.
True, but it still is just crazy.
Yeah, he's tiny.
And that's just a comment. That means nothing.
No.
Like, I'm strictly just saying, damn. Like, I'm watching Monday Night Football, I'm like, fuck, Bryce Young looks...
Yeah, he looks small.
Even more so in the NFL than he did in college. But
yeah.
That being said, talent-wise, you see the flashes?
He looks fine.
Yeah, he's...
I do wonder, just like everybody did, I wonder about what his ceiling is.
Yep.
But it's not something... He's not the reason that I'd say Carolina's losing.
Agreed.
They're just out-talented right now.
Yeah. And
their defense is playing fine. They just don't have... They just are missing a weapon. They were a team that for the entire time he was out there, I thought DeAndre Hopkins should have gone to Carolina. Or at least that they should have pursued him.
Would have made a lot of
sense.
He's
from the Carolinas.
Would have made a lot of sense.
But whatever. That is what it is. This was an sort of like chalk game for me where I was like, that's how that's going to go. Yep. And that's exactly how it went.
Yep.
All right, up next. This is an interesting fucking game. Cleveland goes to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh wins 26-22. In a game where Pittsburgh was thoroughly outplayed.
Absolutely.
And by thoroughly, I don't mean that their defense didn't kick ass.
No, their offense.
Because their defense kicked ass.
Their offense was
but the reason that they won this game
was their defense.
2 defensive touchdowns.
Which is
so if we take 14 points off the board, Cleveland wins 22-12. And not to mention Nick Chubb goes out. Denzel Ward goes out. Greg Newsome goes out. I think those 2 corners may have come back, but they missed stretches of the game. Nick Chubb getting hurt is where this shit really went wrong, because he was actually able to run on them and was doing great until that knee got mangled.
Yep.
And I wish nothing but the best for him. He's one of my favorite players.
I love Chubb.
Like,
he's on a rival team. I love Chubb.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite players. I hope he's obviously...
That injury's hard to watch.
They've already come out and said he's out for the year. Yep. I think we all knew that.
Yep.
That changed the game because he was not struggling to run.
Nope.
Like, just in, like, the little bit that he played, I mean, he was doing fine. Let me double-check what he got. Like, because he was out before halftime. Mm-hmm. And he went and got 64 yards before halftime. He was
looking at a good day.
Had he stayed in,
this is a different game.
Cleveland wins.
Potentially, yeah.
The story of the game, people can talk about Cleveland's offense didn't play great. True, didn't play great. They did get 22 points, like the honest way. Not great. I'm not saying they played good. Sean Watson didn't play good. Their passing game didn't play good. Their O-line didn't play good. Nothing went well for the Cleveland offense after Nick Chubb left the game.
Yep.
The story of this game, what the fuck is going on with the Matt Canada? I said it. We both talked about this. Matt Canada's a fucking problem.
He is.
It's that Vince Vaughn thing where he's talking to everybody. He's like, "You're a problem.
We're not gonna point
You're
fingers.
a real problem.
We're not gonna point fingers. You're the problem. You're a real problem."
That's Matt Canada with the Steelers right now. That dude's a problem.
Absolutely.
What the hell? They can't do anything.
I think we knew that last year. Though.
George Pickens has one massive play, and he does seem to be good, but they don't throw it to him.
They don't target the guy.
But he went over 100 yards, has a touchdown, but I mean, a 70-yard play will do that for you. But, like, they kept... Why do you keep running straight at the teeth of the goddamn Browns defense? It hasn't worked once the entire game. and they just waste second down or first down.
Jalen Warren looks like a great pick by me on my fantasy team, though. 12 points.
Yeah,
because and they're literally doing nothing.
Yeah, I get
and
like
he still walks away 12.
Good on you, but all I'm talking about, like,
I love him as a receiving back. That's why I picked him.
All I'm saying is, like,
Pick up Jalen Warren.
What the hell's going on? They're doing
don't start
obvious things that are dumb.
Oh, yeah.
3rd and 1. This is the time to run it up the gut, boys. 3rd and 1, and we're doing a Kenny Pickett quarterback keeper to the edge. Excuse me? He's not Justin Fields.
No.
You might not like Justin Fields. Justin Fields, I'm okay if you want to let him keep the ball. Or Lamar Jackson.
I at least opened up and said he's a good athlete.
Yeah, like, Kenny Pickett's not one of those guys.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, we're going to, when Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith play on the edges of this defense, we're going to run it with Kenny Pickett to the edge.
Bold. Bold to go for the run.
I guess. It's bold, all right. I don't get it. That Steelers offense is concerning. Their defense looked more like the Steelers defense.
Yeah, looked a lot better this week, which does not surprise me in the slightest.
No, they woke up, and credit to them. The Brown, by the way, here's the Browns, poor Browns defense. They deserve to win this game. But that Steelers defense, I'm not saying the Browns defensive players, they deserve to win this game.
That's fair.
So did the Steelers defensive players. The two defenses both deserve to leave here with a win. Nobody else did, though.
No, both offenses did look bad. The Browns offense at least looked competent.
They at least had moments.
The Steelers offense is looking terrible.
Yeah.
It's Matt Campbell's
like, the difference between the Steelers offense and the Browns offense at least, like, had drives. Like, they at least, like, their defense at least got to rest.
Yes.
But the Steelers, like, oh, would you look at that? We're 3 and out. And I think there was a stretch where the Browns went 3 and out 4 times. But I think deep into the second quarter, the Steelers still didn't have first down.
No, it was...
It's like, what?
It was a hard game to watch for most of it.
I feel worse about the Steelers after seeing them win.
Yeah.
Like, I felt better about them after their loss.
Yeah, and I love that we were... And granted, it's preseason, but I loved how everybody was so excited because of how it went in preseason. I was like...
Yeah, guys,
wait.
Let's take it away. Like, I still enjoyed after the first game. They're like, I think there's a difference between preseason defenses and the 49ers defense. And that's true. There's also a difference between preseason defense and the Browns defense.
Crazy.
Which, by the way, that's carried over through 2 weeks. I think that's real. I think the Browns defense being good is real.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Like, that's one of those things where a lot of people are like, oh, did they catch the slow start Bengals? No, they've done it twice now. Against teams that know them. So I think their defense is good. And so I'm not going to begrudge the Steelers if they had a quote-unquote, like, rough night. There's a difference between a rough night and what we watched.
An incompetent night. On the offensive side of the ball.
Dude. That was gross.
Hard to watch.
Other than so you take out the 70-yard play to George Pickens. Here, I'm going to look at this. So if you take out the 70-yard play to George Pickens... Kenny Pickett is down around like 140 yards.
Yeah.
What the hell? I mean, it's just weird, like team stats. Let's look at this. Team stats, total yards. Browns got him 408 to 255. Passing yards, Browns got him 210 to 200. Nobody threw the ball well. Browns got him 198 to 855. So, Nick Chubb and the Browns in general. They managed to run the ball.
Yep.
It was just like the entire game, the Steelers got 9 first downs.
Well, here's where it really comes
4
down.
for 14 on third down.
Here's where it really comes down to. Fumbles lost, Cleveland 3.
Yeah, that's absolutely the difference. And credit to the Steelers, they did some good stuff. That's fine. That first play, that's lucky.
Yep.
The second one, the TJ Watt touchdown, that can just happen. That's good on the Steeler defense.
2 more stats that I'll bring up, or I guess team stats that I'll pick up. Time of possession for the Browns, 35 minutes over 24 for the Steelers. They had the ball way longer, and that's what running the ball will do.
I've never seen a quarterback get 2 face mask penalties.
Yep. Which is crazy.
And he got them on plays where they like got yards or converted a long third down. And that's what ends their drive.
It's absolutely...
There was a drive where they were in field goal range and they back up like 40 yards on penalties, it seems like.
How often does an offensive player get a face mask in general?
Never.
Yeah. I mean,
and then a quarterback.
Maybe the O-line.
Yeah,
maybe
that's different.
Maybe a wide receiver.
When do skill guys get it?
PI. But that's rare. quarterback to not only get one
Dude,
but two.
so weird.
Yeah. So and the last one I'm bringing up is the 8 penalties that Cleveland had compared to Pittsburgh's
Yeah,
5.
and they seem to be way more costly, or way more timely. It was so weird. Not both these fucking teams. The Browns gave up more sacks, but the Browns had pressure on the Steelers a lot, so the sacks don't quite tell the story of who pass rushed better. They both pass rushed really well. Mm-hmm. I came out of this. I mean, listen, Nick Chubb is not going to play this year,
right?
And that lowers what I think of the Browns.
Yep.
But I honestly came out of this game still like, I mean, I like them better than the Steelers in this game. T.J. Watt's a freaking animal, though.
That's T.J. Watt, baby.
That son of a bitch is everywhere.
That's T.J. Watt.
There are some teams that when you hold a franchise record, it's not impressive. There are some teams where it is. When you hold the record for most sacks in Steelers history, that's impressive. Yes. So good for T.J. Watt. Yes. When you hold a positive defensive record for the Steelers,
you will be talked about for a long time.
Yeah. So good on him. Him and Micah Parsons right now are the two front runners for Defensive Player of the Year, and as they should be.
Yep, does not surprise me.
I think they both have 4 sacks. T.J. Watt has a touchdown on the year,
which will help.
Now we're cooking. And I love T.J. Watt, so I'm not pissed that T.J. Watt does well. I really like T.J. Watt.
I do love football.
You're just gonna hate it when you see him.
Oh, absolutely.
Twice a year.
First of all, I already hate it when I see Myles Garrett twice a year. Now and also there's T.J. Watt I have to see twice a year. I absolutely hate it.
Yeah,
I
absolutely hate it.
One of the two of the top defensive players in the league I see 4 times.
Exactly. But my biggest takeaway from this game, something has to change on that Steeler offense. That defense can be great every week. They're not going to score you 2 touchdowns every week.
Yeah, they're not going to beat your offense.
No. They outscored your offense.
Yeah,
your offense scored 12 points. They scored 14.
Absolutely. Insane.
What?
The fact that we're even talking about this, like, Matt Canada should not have even been allowed in the facility this morning.
Oh, he walks in the... I'm like, all right, Matt, question time. Why should you keep your job?
Yeah, I'd have that conversation exactly with him.
You better
with the intention of no sob story.
You better have written me an essay about, like, objective things that you do well for us.
Yep. I need a 15-page essay, MLA format, and it needs to be fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
No double space.
If I see a spelling error...
No double spaces.
Yeah. Single space, 15 pages. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Oh, my God.
But good for the Steelers. They won. Didn't feel like a win, but they won.
They helped out the Bengals.
So at least they're 1-1. Like... But boy, did it not feel like it. And I think the Steelers have a nice break this week. Okay, if your offense looks anemic again after this week, problems. Because you got the Raiders.
Oof.
You better be able to score. Now, I understand Max Crosby might do his thing. I don't give a goddamn.
You better be able to score. It's the Raiders' defense.
25 points from your offense, or it's your ass, Matt Canada.
It's 10 Madden-generated players.
And Max
Crosby.
I mean, really, like, if you can't score 25 points from your offense this week, they're too damn talented.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I swear to God, some of their alignment last night, though, I'm like, what are we doing?
Their best.
I don't think so. Broderick Jones needs to be starting now.
Absolutely. Oh, 100%.
Like, they wanted to take him along slow. No more.
Nope, you can't.
It's time for you to get out there. We're getting bullied by people. Granted, you got bullied by Nick Bosa and company, and then Myles Garrett and company.
It'll happen.
But still, you can't. There were plays where it wasn't Myles Garrett, where it's like the dude whose last name's like Taki.
Yeah.
He's coming through.
You're letting that guy come in?
Like, come on now.
It's opening the door for everybody, huh?
Yeah.
But
they
don't even have to knock. You're just like, oh, someone's at the door.
Yeah. This week, Matt Canada, your ass is on the line this week.
You are fighting for a job, brother.
Yeah.
You better hope that offense learns something. You best be having yourself in the film.
Like I said, I felt better about them after losing to the 49ers than after beating the Browns.
Absolutely. So, I agree.
But, that is the Week 2 slate of games. Week 3 is coming up. We'll be doing a predictions video for that. And, we're starting to get opinions formed about teams. Mm-hmm. We're starting to see who's real, who's not. And in like the next 3 to 5 weeks, every one of these teams will have at least one matchup with a team that's worth playing.
Yep.
So we'll see how it goes. But thanks for tuning in. Hit like, hit subscribe, share the video. Peace.
Peace.